For November 23rd, 2020 to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilwoman Alexander.
Eternal God, our Father, Lord God, as we come again saying thank you, God. Lord, thank you for this day that you have made. Thank you for each and every one of these council men and women on this call today. Lord God, thank you for our residents, Lord God, as we continue to battle through COVID-19, Lord God. Continue to cover our residents during this holiday season. Continue to cover our police and our fire department, Lord God, including our mayor, Lord God, as we continue to battle through this, as we are in this together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Clerk Golick, roll call.
Alexander. Alexander.
She's froze, I think, but she's there.
She's there.
Yeah. There she is.
Present.
Okay. Spitelli.
Here.
Vanez.
Here.
Kalwinski.
Here.
Torres.
Here.
Tyler.
Here.
Emerson.
Here.
Rakels.
Here.
Warple.
Here, let the record show 9 present, 6 by Zoom, 3 in chambers, nobody absent. Mayor,
Hi, Mr. President.
how you doing?
Hammond Council, good to see everybody. Wanted to give an update on where we stand in regard to our customer communities and also talk about the COVID-19 task force that I was urged by Councilwoman Katrina last week to re-implement. And a lot of council people actually recommended that I start this task force up again. So I took your all's advice. And we did our first broadcast last week announcing the reformation of the COVID-19 task force. And we plan to meet weekly on Wednesdays. Obviously, the council's invited if you want to just get the details from IT. We plan to air this live on Go Hammond's Facebook page so that the public will be able to see it as well, and talk about where we are in regards to COVID-19 in the city of Hammond. I know Scott Miller, superintendent of Hammond Public Schools, plans to be on there himself, which is nice. So we'll be able to update in regards to the schools as well. We usually get a real good crowd watching that, so I think it's a good opportunity for us to get the word out on how Hammond is dealing with COVID-19. And also in regards to last week's water rate increase that was passed unanimously by the Hammond Council. I've since met with the Mayor Whiting. I have meetings coming up with Griffith, Highland, and Dyer to talk to them about, and we have had remonstrances filed by all of them. We expected that. You may have received that paperwork. I'm not sure if the council got copies or not. We received copies on behalf, which is required for our customer communities. If they wanted to remonstrate against the rate increase, they had to file that within 5 days. So that was not unexpected. If you guys got copies of that, I just wanted to let you know we did as well, and that was completely expected. So I am available to answer any questions in regards to COVID or in regards to the water rate increase or any other questions you have. And then obviously when the data center comes up and then when the resolution you have pending before you comes up, I plan to speak on those issues as well. So, Mr. President, you have a question? Anybody?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank you for these unprecedented times. It's been 9 months now where we've not missed a meeting.
Yes, sir.
And appreciate you giving us our updates during the meetings, and we plan on continuing them until this is over with. So
Thanks,
we welcome your comments before the meetings. Does anybody have any questions concerning anything the mayor brought up? One thing I will add to what the mayor said is you all should have been emailed that packet of what he's talking about as far as the customer communities.
The remonstrance?
Yes.
Right.
They were probably sent late.
If the customer communities did not send us that written remonstrance, they would not have been able to appeal the rate increases. So they had to do that within 5 days. So, and they almost every community specifically reached out to either myself or corporate counsel and said, we're not trying to go to war with you guys. We want you to know we're filing this because we have to file it within 5 days. I'd like to point that out, that this was totally expected. It's just part of the process we're going through right now. I hope at the end of the day to be able to reach a deal with the customer communities to bring up their, to bring their rates up to our rates over the next couple of years. If we could avoid litigation doing that, I think it's a great resolution. This is different because when we dealt with this litigation in Chicago Heights, all due respect, even though they're our partner in Illinois, they're not our neighbors as Munster and Highland and Griffith and Dyer and Whiting are our neighbors. And it's a lot different, I think, dealing with your neighbors than it is a business transaction between two communities in two different states. So, any other questions, Mr. President?
Does anybody else have any questions?
Did all Indiana customer communities enter a remonstrance?
Thank you, Councilman Mark. Yes, sir, they did. I'm not sure. The Illinois also? No. But they're tied to our, this is an interesting question, Councilman Mark. I'm glad you asked this. You know, we talked about how all the Indiana contracts were tied to the rates Hammond residents paid. They are. And then we talked about how Illinois communities aren't going to be affected by that rate increase. Well, we forgot about two that Illinois communities that were pegged to the rate that Hammond residents pay. Lansing and South Holland, I believe, and Linwood. And these communities got a deal from us about 3 or 4 years before we started changing the way we do business in water. And they got a real good deal from us, especially in regards to Illinois communities. They were pegged to Hammond rates, and Hammond rates were next to nothing, which means they were buying our water for next to nothing, just like Indiana communities, and marking it up a lot and making money. Well, because of what the Hammond Council and the mayor did last week, those contracts are affected in Illinois as well, and we did not get written remonstrance from them. By the way, in Illinois, $1.90 for 1,000 gallons of water is nothing. Illinois pays so much more for water than Hoosiers do. So, you haven't received anything from them? And then as far as Chicago Heights and our business partners in Illinois that sell water for Hammond Water, they have not been affected by this at all. So I guess the long-winded answer to your question, Councilman Mark, is all the Indiana communities did file a remonstrance, but the two that are affected in Illinois did not.
Were they given formal notice, or were they required to give formal notice of the increase?
Yes,
by
sir.
us?
Yes, sir, they were.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Thanks,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mayor.
President.
Before we go on to reading of the minutes, I noticed some new people in the audience. If you want to speak in public expression, there's a clipboard up here to sign your name so you can speak. Number 3, reading of the minutes.
Mr. President,
Councilman Spitali.
I'd like to have the minutes confirmed for the November 9th, 2020, and November 16th, 2020, to make a motion to be placed on file also, please.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman Spitali, seconded by Councilwoman Venez for the minutes from November 9th and November 16th. The special meeting be entered into the record and placed on file. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 4, approval of claims.
Mr. President,
Councilman Rakos.
I'd like to move to approve claims beginning claim dated 11/6 of 2020 and ending with claims dated 11/18, 2020. It'll be claim number 5355 through claim number 5578 inclusive, the amount of $8,999,850.55.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman Rakos, seconded by Councilwoman Venez to accept the claims as written. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Clerk Golick, roll call.
Alexander,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Venez,
Yes.
Kalwinski,
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Rakos,
Yes.
Warpo.
Yes, let the record show the claims pass, 9 in favor, 0 opposed. Moving on to public hearings, there are none. Item number 6, communications.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Venez.
I believe all of us are in receipt of a letter from Mr. George Stoya dated November 17th, and I would like to place that on file.
Motion's been made, so moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor to place, any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor to place on file signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Communications.
Have a copy?
Is there anybody that has any further communications?
Mr. President,
Councilman Tyler.
I'd like to just go on record and give condolences to the family of Camelia Lynette Reggio Robinson. She was a longtime resident of the 3rd District. There's actually a street named after her father in the 3rd District as well. So she was very much an integral part of my life growing up, and I know a lot of people too, even Councilwoman Alexander. I'm guessing she's going to say a few words too. So just wanted to share my condolences with her family and everybody whose life she touched, not just in Hammond, but across Northwest Indiana through the good work that she was doing.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any communications?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Alexander.
just like Councilman Tyler said, definitely want to give condolences to the Reggio Robinson family in the loss of Camelia. She was definitely an integral part of a lot of our lives growing up. We grew up with her daughters, and my sincere condolences to them and their children. And just the Hammond community and the Smith-Bazell-Warner family, because she's done so much, even with Hammond Day and providing different dinners for our senior citizens, helping with that. And she's going to be extremely missed. So I wanted to get that out of the way before I talk about COVID, of course. So I do send my condolences to her family. Secondly, of course, as I do come with the COVID numbers, last week I told you we were at an additional 784 cases. This week that number has grown again. For 4632, we have an additional 158 new cases from 2 weeks ago. 46327, we have an additional 127 cases. 46323, an additional 261 cases. 46324, an additional 297 cases. 46394, 151 new cases. That's a total of 994 new cases. We are in holiday week. This is Thanksgiving week, and I just want to remind our residents that we know that you'll probably celebrate with your families. But please be mindful that COVID is real, and it affects all ages. It does not have a name on it. It affects us all. Some it affects mildly, some it affects not so mildly and can be fatal. But at the end of the day, please wear your mask, wash your hands, and social distance as much as possible in this time. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. You are in my thoughts and prayers as we continue to battle with COVID-19. But like I said, these numbers are continuing to go up. Mayor, thank you for getting the task force back started. I'm going to continue to hold you to your word. But I also want to remind you that regardless of what the governor does, we still can do something more in our city if these numbers keep rising the way they are. Thank you.
Is there any other communications? Any other communications? Communications are now closed. Committee reports.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
as the councilwoman was talking about COVID-19, we are not going to have any community or crime watch meetings during the month of December. Facilities that we normally use to have our meetings are not available to us during this pandemic. So we just recommend that everyone please wear your mask, wash your hands, socially distance during this holiday season. Please listen to the experts. Don't gather in large groups, and please protect yourself. And you can go to the Hammond, Indiana Police Department Facebook page. Edison Community Watch has a Facebook page, and you can get some helpful information. So, as I always say, community is not just about me, it's about us. So be sure to make the call if you see anything that just does not seem right. Thank you.
Thank you. As far as committee reports too, a couple meetings ago, we created a committee on the Capital Improvements Board. Did you guys happen to name a chair of that committee between the three of you that were appointed?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines. I'm talking about the committee, the council committee.
the what?
We created a committee on the council, the Capital Improvements Board. You three are the appointees.
Yes.
So we need one of you to give us a capital improvements.
I'll give you an update.
Couldn't
That's what you're looking for? Okay.
have said it better myself.
Yes, I did attend that meeting, and it was quite an education, to say the least. Dean Button, our city engineer, did a wonderful job of explaining in detail what it takes from beginning to end on a project. And there are a lot of details that I, for one, as a council at large, never having to spend a dime on a project in the city of Hammond, I was not aware of all these little intricacies. So, as I said, it was quite an education. We are meeting again December 7th. We will have and we'll be here in the council chambers. We'll have a study session at 5 o'clock, and then the meeting will be open to the public beginning at 6 p.m. I have gotten a couple of calls from residents about projects that they are interested in. And one of the calls was with regard to a project that is already on the list. It's been designed. It didn't have a dollar figure on it just yet, so I was not at liberty to go into detail with this resident. But at least his project was on the list. I did get another call from a gentleman from up in Robertsdale who has been waiting for some curbs to be fixed. Now, and I've explained to him the procedure on that. They don't fix curbs unless the street is being redone. But I think he wants to hear a definitive answer from somebody in more authority than me, anyway. So I suggested that he attend the meeting. So if any resident has any questions about any project that they are interested in, or just to learn about some of the projects that are in the hopper. I mean, I went to this meeting kind of thinking, and I know I'm talking a lot, I'm sorry. I went to this meeting thinking we'd kind of start off with a clean slate, and, oh, that's not the way it was at all. But very, very interesting and very educational, and I'm looking forward to more of the meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other committee reports?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski?
can the public attend via Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, and how do they get that number?
Mr. President?
Councilwoman
It
Vines?
will be posted on the legal notice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? Committee reports are now closed. Ordinances, third and final reading, there are none. Introduction of resolutions. Clerk Gullett.
Ordinance 20-30 sponsored by Councilman Kalwinski. An ordinance establishing economic improvement district and authorizing and approving other actions with respect thereto.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
I move that ordinance 20-30 pass through first and second reading with a public hearing for December 14, 2020, and be placed in council as a whole committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman Kowinski to place in council, pass on first and second reading, place in council as a whole with a public hearing on December 14th, 2020, seconded by Councilman Spitali. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Mayor.
I appreciate you considering this ordinance. This is in regards to an economic improvement district that we hope to put around the second data center that is being built right next to our first data center. The hope is one day to have multiple data centers there, not just two, but right now it appears that the first data center has been wildly successful, and there's a proposal for a partnership between the city of Hammond and the development group for the data centers for the second phase. We are in discussions right now between them and us, and I appreciate you considering this ordinance. It's a big ordinance. I imagine there's a lot to review in there. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion or any questions? Any further discussion? Motion's been made and seconded. Council as a whole. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 10, resolutions.
Resolution, item A, Resolution 20R20, sponsored by Councilwoman Venez. A resolution approving a preliminary access agreement between the City of Hammond, Indiana, and the City of Joliet, Illinois, for Joliet water facilities.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Venez.
I move for passage of 20R20.
Motion's been made for passage of 20R20. Is there by Councilwoman Venez? Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Spitali. Any discussion?
Mr. President.
Wait, I noticed there's, Kevin, is this Allison here on Zoom?
Yes.
Yes.
That's
So
Allison
Mayor
Fisher.
and
She's the Public
Allison.
Works Director for the City of Joliet. She's monitoring this right now, Mr. President. If you don't mind.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Thanks. This is we're in competition to be one of two suppliers of Lake Michigan water to the City of Joliet. And this is a proposal that's pending before the Joliet Mayor and the Joliet City Council, and they're going to decide between Hammond or the City of Chicago to supply their water needs beginning around 2030, 2031, continuing for 125 years thereafter. This is just, if you'll let me go through a couple important points I think we should consider. Joliet's aquifer, which is where they receive water, will be out of sustainable maximum daily water flows by 2030. So obviously, they're not adjacent to the lake like we are, and, they rely on their aquifer to supply their water needs, and they're projected for that water aquifer to go dry. Joliet's a big community with surrounding communities. Obviously, this is the number one concern of the mayor and the city council of the city of Joliet right now. Joliet did research into alternative water supplies, which river water was discussed. Other aquifers in the area were looked into, Lake Michigan alternatives, and basically Joliet settled on two possible sources of water in the future, which would be Chicago Water Company, which is finished water, or a raw water supply out of Hammond, Indiana. Basically, what this would be is a pipeline that goes from Lake Michigan to the city of Joliet. $1.2 billion project at this point. We've dealt with issues like this in the past. We dealt with something called the Joliet, Illinois, 10 years ago-ish. I was mayor at the time, and it was like dealing with a hydra. There were so many different bosses. We were dealing with multiple mayors in the south side of Chicago, and it was just hard to like understand who was calling the shots. I don't even think they knew who was calling the shots. The thing about this proposal that makes a lot more sense for us is this is being driven by one city, by the mayor of Joliet, and quite frankly, the Joliet City Council, which makes it much easier for us to deal with one point of contact versus the JAWA, which was multiple points of contact. I said earlier, we're in competition with Chicago, so we may not be chosen. This is something that we need to show the city of Joliet and the mayor that we're interested in this proposal, and they have to choose us. So just because you pass this resolution doesn't mean that this is definitely going to happen. We're in competition with Chicago, and the Joliet Council will be meeting on December 17th to decide. Chicago has agreed to have their city council show commitment by that meeting. In other words, the Chicago City Council and the mayor are doing exactly what we're asking the Hammond City Council and the mayor to do right now, so that we can show the same commitment. Joliet plans to enter into a JAWA-type agreement with the small communities surrounding Joliet, and the raw water will only serve Joliet and those communities. So Joliet's 60 miles away? 48 miles away. We also made sure that Joliet agreed through a contract not to sell water with any of our potential customers. We don't want to get into a situation where we're planning to sell water to a community and Joliet says, hey, we got cheaper water coming, we plan to sell it to you. So we negotiated those terms with Joliet as well. Joliet estimates that raw water to be approximately 30 million gallons a day if it's only Joliet that signs on, or up to 60 million gallons per day for a regional water commission that would serve the communities of Joliet and the communities around Joliet. If they get the max 60 million gallons per day, that'd still be smaller than the Hammond Water Company, to put it in perspective. We're still going to have more daily output than Joliet would have, but it's fairly significant source of raw water on the south side of Chicago, in the city of Joliet. Joliet plans to build a filtration plant in Joliet. So it'll be a pipeline of raw water that goes from Hammond all the way out to Joliet. And then they would filter it in Joliet and sell the raw water to, obviously, their customers and the communities surrounding them. City of Hammond, if this all becomes a deal, finalized and agreed upon by both parties, at the end of 2020, the city of Hammond will receive a $250,000 payment upon signing of the preliminary agreement. We will also be reimbursed for all of our legal and other fees to date. There are quite a few. I mean, we've been working hard on this proposal. If the long-term agreement is signed, it'll be a 99-year term plus a renewal of 25 years at that point. We agree to assist, Joliet will build all infrastructure at their cost, including a pumping station, the rights-of-way, the land acquisition. Joliet pays for everything. We pay for our legal fees and our technical fees on our side. We agree to waive the permit fees for Joliet and the city of Hammond. We also agree to assist technically and to help them get their right-of-way, just to get them out of Indiana. Once they get to the border, they're on their own. We're done at that point. Long-term agreement, if we enter into a long-term agreement with them, we will receive $750,000 by July 31st, 2021. Upon review and approval of all the bidding documentation, City of Hammond, Civil City, by the way, not the Water Department, will receive $1 million, and that's around 2023 or 2024, and then $2 million per year in the year 2025, 2026, and 2027, for a total of $6 million there. All said and done, there's about $8 million in fees that will be paid to the city of Hammond during the 2020s if we enter into a long-term agreement with Joliet. And then every year, beginning in 2032, the city of Hammond will receive a flat fee of $110,000 per year forever, basically, for 99 years, and then 25 years. And then whoever the mayor and the council is, I'm pretty sure we'll be done by then. We'll be negotiating with the city of Joliet over what the fees will be in years 126 on. So this is a deal that we'll never see the end of. But City of Hammond will see a significant amount of money coming to it during the 2020s, and then $110,000 a year into perpetuity. The advantages for Joliet to take Hammond's agreement is they'll be in control of their own destiny, water-wise. They won't be reliant upon the city of Chicago or the rates charged by the mayor of the city of Chicago, but it is more expensive for them to do the pipeline and the filtration plant and all that, let's just be honest. But I think for the extra money that they have to spend in Joliet, it'll be well worth it because Joliet will be in charge of their own destiny, and they wouldn't be reliant on aquifers, and they wouldn't be reliant on the goodwill of the mayor of the city of Chicago. So this proposal we have pending before you, I hope that not only you agree it, you tell the city of Joliet, because they're watching, that we'll be good partners, business partners. They would be just as much of Hammond's business partner in Illinois as Chicago Heights is right now, and Chicago Heights is a good business partner for us. So this is a proposal. I want to thank Kevin Smith and Shauna Levinson and all the people that work so hard on this agreement and getting it before you. And I think it's a great proposal, and quite frankly, we're being a good neighbor because Joliet needs somebody's help right now, and you know, it's only Chicago that's going to be there for them, and Chicago sort of got them at their mercy. So we're literally helping Joliet stay alive, and I think that's a good thing to do. So thank you for considering it, Mr.
Mayor,
President.
I hope to be on this side of the ground by 2030. But before we open it up for questions, I see there's an Allison on here. Is there
Yep.
anything you'd like to add, Allison? It doesn't have your last name up there. So
Her name is
I'll just call you Allison. How's
It's
that?
Allison Swisher. She's the Director of Public Works in the city of Joliet.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I appreciate having the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I think this opportunity, as the mayor said, is a huge benefit to the city of Joliet as well as to the city of Hammond, and we would look forward to being your partner, in this project for the long term, if our city council does select that alternative.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for either Allison or the mayor? Are there any?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
this has nothing to do with the Hammond Water Department, correct?
Thank you. No, this is through the city of Hammond, much like our contract with Chicago Heights. This is city of Hammond negotiating with Joliet in this case. And, obviously Joliet, we would be if Joliet was 30 miles closer to Hammond, this would probably be a different type of conversation, but with Joliet being 48 miles away, this is us being good neighbors to somebody that needs access to raw water, and we could really change their fortune by helping them and cooperating with them because they're in control of their destiny. And then the mayor of Joliet, it's Mayor Odekirk right now, but future mayors of Joliet could go to surrounding communities and sell water to them, like Michigan water that's filtered right there in Joliet. It's a great opportunity. So even though it's more money for Joliet, it's a great opportunity for them to redefine themselves for the next 125 years while this contract is valid for.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
this is for the mayor. This may be premature, and it is an exciting prospect for Joliet as well as Hammond.
Thank you.
How many miles of pipe would be laid in Hammond, and do we know the route of the pipe at this point, or is that just premature?
Is that in the packet? 8 miles in Hammond? In Hammond, 8 miles of pipe, Councilman Mark. And we do know the route. I'm sure it's in your packet. It's a preliminary, by the way.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. But yeah, Councilman Mark, that is, it's below ground, I imagine? It's below ground, so it'll be a lot of work and a lot of acquisition. And once it's finally out of Hammond in Illinois, it's pretty much on Joliet to make sure that it gets from the state line all the way out to Joliet. And then think about the cost. I mean, Joliet's spending, if they do this proposal, they're spending over $1 billion. Filtration plants, I know filtration plant alone is probably $100 million by itself. So Joliet's going all in. But they're also establishing themselves as a water central for the next 125 years. So I think it's worth it personally. But, man, I do hope we get chosen, and that's why I'm talking to you guys today.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Is there
Councilman Mark.
any further discussion? Any further
I got
discussion?
one more important point I think I need
Go
to
ahead,
point
Mayor.
out, is the inlet coming into the city of Hammond. We've also made a deal with the city of Joliet, Mayor Odekirk, who I want to thank. He's visited Hammond City Hall. We've done virtual meetings. He's done a great job on behalf of his citizens. And if the Joliet residents are watching, I didn't know Mayor Odekirk before a year ago, and he's outstanding. And I think he's doing great work for the residents of Joliet. I've been here before, and this is way further than we ever got with Jawa, and that took years. So, the fact that they made so much progress in 1 year is pretty amazing to me. But we did make a deal where if Hammond decided to build a second filtration plant, which I hope we're grappling with this decision down the road, Mayor DeClerc and this deal allows for us to tap into their inlet, which is huge, which will save us money down the road if we want to build a second filtration plant. Instead of having a whole new line go out into Lake Michigan, we could tap off the line that they're going to lay for the Jawa. So I want to thank Mayor DeClerc for that.
Roughly, the inlet is located where?
Good question, Councilman.
1 mile offshore.
Where, closer to the data center? Or?
1 mile offshore, it will be east of the current intake of Hammond.
Okay. 1 mile offshore, which is where ours is, east of the current intake, Councilman Mark. So same,
Okay.
same area.
Got it.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Clerk Golick, roll call on the resolution.
Alexander,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Vines,
Yes.
Kalwinski,
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Rakos,
Yes.
Warple.
Yes, let the record show 9 are in favor, 0 are opposed. The resolution passes.
Thank you, Hammond City Council, and I'll make sure Mayor DeClerc knows the news. I know Alice is on it.
Tell them how easy that was for us to do
I
that.
appreciate you being and all the help you provided with this, Allison, and please tell the mayor we said thank you from Hammond.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 20R17,
Do you want to bring that out now? Yep. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, resolution, go ahead, Clerk Golick.
Resolution 20R17, the petitioners are the Department of Planning and the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. The sponsors are Councilman Spitali. A declaratory resolution determining that a certain area of the city of Hammond, Indiana be designated as the Oxbow Landing Economic Revitalization Area Number 2, to which deductions from assessed valuation may be requested by an applicant to the Common Council of the City of Hammond, Indiana, pursuant to Indiana Code 6-1.1-12.1.
Mr. President,
Councilman Spitali.
tonight, the council will consider the declaratory resolution 20R-17 to declare and establish Oxbow Landing Economic Development Target Area Number 2 as an economic revitalization area. Also, the council will schedule a public meeting confirming this resolution on December 14th, 2020.
I don't have to do anything.
Well, the motion's been made. Is there a second?
A second.
The motion's been made by Councilman Spitali, is seconded by Councilwoman Vines. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Just to clarify, Councilman Spitali, that public hearing is December 14, 2020, correct?
That's correct.
Correct. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk Golick, roll call.
Alexander,
Yes.
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 Spitali,
Yes.
Vines,
Yes.
Kalwinski,
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Rakos,
Yes.
Warple.
Yes, let the record show 9 in favor, 0 opposed.
President Warple, that concludes the reading of the resolutions.
Thank you, Clerk Golick. New and unfinished business.
Mr. President,
Councilman Spitali.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Greg Myricks to the Hammond Redevelopment Commission. His term expires December 31st, 2020. If he gets reappointed, he will start on January 1st, 2021 through December 31st of 2021. He's been on the commission for 9 years and has been vice president for the last 4 years.
Okay, motion's been made to reappoint Greg Myricks to the Hammond Redevelopment Commission. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman Spitali, seconded by Councilwoman Vines. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Do we need a roll call on that? Yeah, Clerk Golick, roll call.
Alexander,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Vines,
Yes.
Kalwinski,
Yes.
Torres,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Rakels,
Yes.
Warple.
Yes, let the record show Gregory Myricks is reappointed to the Economic Development Commission, 9 in favor, 0 opposed. Is there any other new and unfinished business? Is there any other new and unfinished business? Just as a reference, I've been asked a couple times how long we plan on doing meetings this way as far as the governor's orders and stuff like that, and I know it's a little bit harder to have meetings on Zoom and in the chambers, and there's been some discussion of going back to all Zoom meetings, and my opinion is I have no problem with coming here and having a meeting here in the council chambers, even though it might be a slight inconvenience. I still feel like we need to be present here. This is just me personally, that one of us needs to be present here so the public can see us and speak on the issues too, so. Mayor, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, Mr. President, I forgot to mention one thing that I should have mentioned earlier in regards to COVID. We have, because of the governor's latest restrictions placing us in the red, we have a capacity limit for indoor and outdoor events limited to 250 people. 25 people. If you exceed 25 people, technically you have to have a plan approved by the Board of Health. So we've submitted plans in regards to the Sportsplex, the Shepherd Center, the Civic Center, but really mostly for the Sportsplex, which still has leagues, which are legal under the governor's orders. We've also submitted to the Health Department and those have been approved, by the way. We've also submitted to the Health Department for approval the tree lighting ceremony that's scheduled outside, and quite frankly, probably gets more than 25 people. And the Christmas parade, which is outside and definitely gets more than 25 people. We haven't heard back whether or not those events are approved. If they're approved, we still have the option to not have it or have it. It's up to us. If they're not approved, we don't have options. So we have put in for approval for the Christmas parade and for the tree lighting ceremony, and we're waiting to hear back. But the Sportsplex has been approved with the Shepherd Center and the Civic Center, from what I heard.
Sportsplex and, no, not Civic Center yet, we're working on the details. Health Department did ask for additional information regarding the parade and the tree lighting.
Okay. So the possibility is they allow us to go forward as far as the Health Department's concerned, and then it's up to us. We can still, if we deem it unsafe, I imagine that's something we need to talk about with the COVID task force, or the Health Department could just say no, and if they do, then it's over. At that point, we have to cancel the ceremony. So, thank you.
And the tree lighting is this Friday,
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yeah. Friday? I think it's Friday.
President,
Councilwoman Alexander.
maybe this is an option, Mayor, that we can think about. Maybe we can just, if you do have it virtually. I mean, so many
Right.
things happen virtually. We have, our device is to be able to hold it on Go Hammond, like they do with any other event that we have. That's another option, and the residents can still see it
Yes, ma'am.
without actually physically being there.
Yeah.
That's also an option, even for the parade. No residents on the streets, but we can stream it so that we can actually see. They can actually still see something going on. So just something to put it out there.
Thank you.
As an option.
Yeah, Ms. Councilwoman Katrina, I know the plan is for the virtual tree lighting. I think that's totally feasible. And quite frankly, more people may watch it virtually than would actually show up to City Hall to watch that ceremony. I think that having a virtual parade is a lot tougher. Parades are expensive. Part of a parade is a band, and the bands may not participate if. So I think that if we were not given permission by the Board of Health, I don't think the parade could go forward. But I do agree, Councilwoman, that the tree lighting ceremony could definitely easily be converted virtually. And it's still going to be on Go Hammond TV like we do most events. So regardless, we'll still do the tree lighting ceremony, even if we're denied the occupancy by Lake County Health Department. So I appreciate the recommendation.
No problem. And if IT wants any other ideas, I'm more than welcome to talk to them about anything they need.
Thanks, Councilwoman.
Does anybody else have any new and unfinished business? Anybody else have any new and unfinished business? New and unfinished business is closed. Public expression, George Stoya. Did anybody else, nobody else signed the sheet, so anybody on the internet, do you see? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
before I make the motion to adjourn, I'd like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, no matter how you choose to celebrate this year. Just please be safe. Happy Thanksgiving and God's blessings.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We've adjourned.